James Carter was the CEO of a 15-location restaurant chain in Denver. He'd built the business from scratch, pouring in years of hard work and creating a place where families could feel at home. But lately, complaints were stacking up. Slow service, rude staff. His managers all said, "Everything's fine." James didn't buy it, so he came up with a plan. One morning, he showed up at one of his diners dressed like a stranger. Scruffy jacket, glasses, a beard. No one would recognize him. He walked in quietly. The doorbell chimed. He sat at a corner booth, scanned the menu. A tired-looking waitress approached. "Hi there, what can I get you?" she asked with a forced smile. Her name tag read Jenny. "Just coffee and a burger," James replied. She nodded and rushed off to the kitchen. James looked around. The place was clean, but old. The air felt heavy, stressed. As Jenny brought the coffee, a loud voice boomed from the kitchen. "Jenny! Late again?" James froze. It was the shift manager. Jenny flinched. "It's coming!" she called back. James took a sip of coffee. Then, he heard it. A muffled sob coming from the back. That was Jenny. He forgot all about the food. He stood up and walked straight toward the kitchen. Something was very, very wrong. James reached the kitchen door. The sobbing was clearer now. "I'm doing my best," Jenny cried. Her voice was cracking. A man snapped back. "If you can't handle it, get out!" James cracked the door open. Inside, Jenny was wiping away tears. The manager, Rick, stood red-faced and furious. Two cooks looked on, uncomfortable, but silent. James cleared his throat. "Everything okay here?" he asked, calmly. Rick turned. "Who the hell are you?" he barked. James didn't flinch. "A customer, and she's crying. Why?" "Not your business," Rick sneered. "Employee issue." Jenny wiped her face. "I'm fine," she whispered, but James didn't let up. "I heard her say she hasn't had a break in 6 hours," he said firmly. "We're busy. No time for breaks," Rick replied, smug. James's stomach turned. This is not what I built. "She gets 5 minutes," James said. Rick laughed. "And who are you to tell me?" James narrowed his eyes. "It's called being human. Try it sometime." Jenny stared, stunned. Rick grumbled but backed off. James returned to his seat. He jotted down notes, Rick's tone, Jenny's exhaustion. He didn't even touch his burger. He left a generous tip for Jenny and walked out. "This isn't over," he muttered. In his car, he called his assistant. "Clear my calendar for tomorrow," he said. "I'm coming back." James had seen enough. It was time to fix what was broken. The next morning, James returned in disguise. Same clothes, same table. Jenny was still there, but she looked worse, drained. Rick was already shouting from the kitchen. "Move it, Jenny!" James ordered just coffee. Jenny brought it over. "Sorry about yesterday," she whispered. "It wasn't your fault," James said softly. Moments later, Rick stormed into the dining area. A customer had ordered wrong, apparently. Rick barked at him. "Pay attention next time." That was it. James stood up. "Enough," he said, his voice sharp. Rick turned. "Oh, look, it's you again." James didn't blink. "What's your name?" he asked. "Rick." "Why do you care?" Rick snapped. "Because this is how you run the place?" James shot back. "Your staff's crying, customers are leaving, and all you care about is yelling?" Rick scoffed. "This is work. Can't handle it. Quit. Jenny approached, nervous. Please, don't argue, she pleaded. James looked at her. Don't worry. Things are about to change. Rick rolled his eyes. Yeah? What are you gonna do? James didn't answer. He simply walked out and sent a text to his assistant. Pull Rick's file. Immediately. This restaurant had lost its soul. James had one mission now. Bring it back. That afternoon, James returned to the diner. This time, he didn't just observe. He watched Rick like a hawk. The man was rude to customers, barked at Jenny, and ran the place like a tyrant. James scribbled notes, his frustration growing. Jenny rushed past with an order, muttering, "Sorry for the wait," her voice drained. James stopped her. How long have you been working here? He asked. 8 months, she said. It's tough, but it's a job. Has Rick always been like this? He asked. She hesitated. Some days worse than others. Right then, Rick yelled from the kitchen. Jenny, move it already! James turned, his voice sharp. Leave her alone. Rick stormed over. Who do you think you are? James reached into his pocket, pulled out his wallet, and calmly flashed his ID. My name is James Carter. I'm the CEO of this entire restaurant chain. Rick froze. Jenny's eyes widened in disbelief. I didn't know, Rick stammered. James locked eyes with him. Well, now you do. Meet me in the office. The kitchen went silent. Inside, James didn't hold back. You've been destroying this location for 2 years. You're done. Rick objected. This is unfair. No, what's unfair is Jenny crying in the kitchen. Rick stormed out. James turned to the team. Everything changes today. Jenny whispered, Are you really him? James nodded. And I'm here to fix what I broke. Part 5. The Comeback. After Rick left, James gathered the team. Jenny and the cooks looked stunned. Thank you, Jenny said quietly. James looked at them. You guys are the heart of this place. Tell me what's been going on. Jenny spoke up first. We're always understaffed. Rick yelled a lot. Mike, one of the cooks, added, Customers were unhappy, but we were too scared to speak up. James nodded. That's on me. I stayed away too long. Jenny asked, What happens now? New manager, more staff, fair treatment, James replied. That very day, he stayed and helped, taking orders, wiping tables. Jenny laughed. Do CEOs do that? James grinned. When they need to. That night, they met as a team. New equipment, better shifts, more respect, James promised. Mike said, We stuck it out, even with Rick. James smiled. You won't have to stick it out anymore. You'll enjoy being here. Jenny's eyes sparkled. You believe in us? I believe in all of you, James said. Over the next few weeks, a new manager arrived. Lisa, kind and experienced. 3 new employees were hired. Jenny finally had help. The diner came alive. Smiles returned. Customers noticed. This was always my dream, James told Lisa. Jenny added, And now it's our reality. Part 6. A Legacy Restored. A month later, James returned to the diner, no disguise this time. He walked in wearing a suit. Jenny spotted him. Welcome back, boss, she said with a bright smile. The place looked amazing. New booths, happy customers, laughter everywhere. Service is amazing, one customer said. James turned to Jenny. "How do you feel now?" She smiled. "Lighter, happier, thanks to you." Lisa handed over a report. "Revenue's up 30%. James nodded. "That's because of all of you." That night, he gathered the team. "You're the reason this place survived," he told them, "which is why you're all getting raises and bonuses." Applause filled the room. Jenny teared up. "You saw us. You cared." James smiled. "And I always will." The diner was renamed Carter's Diner, with a framed photo of the staff on the wall. James began visiting the other locations. Wherever there was a problem, he fixed it by listening.
If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Subscribe for more inspiring stories.